Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Belchan.
I'm Nimikung.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you a part of Great Expectations.
As.
Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chapter 24. After 2 or 3 days. London several times. And had ordered all I wanted of my tradesmen. Wister. Pocket and I had a long talk together. He knew more of my intended career than I knew myself. For he referred to his having been told by Mr. Chiggers that I was not designed for any profession. My own with the average of young men in prosperous circumstances. Quist. Of course. Knowing nothing to the contrary, he advised my attending certain places in London for the acquisition of such mere rudiments as I wanted, and my investing him with the functions of explainer and director of all my studies. He hoped that with intelligent assistance I should meet little to discourage me, and should soon be able to dispense with any aid but his. Through his way of saying this, and much more to similar purpose, he placed himself on confidential terms with me in an admirable manner, fulfilling his compact with me, that he made me zealous and honourable in fulfilling mine with him. If he had shown indifference as a master, I have no doubt I should have returned the compliment as a pupil. He gave me no such excuse, and each of us did the other justice, was serious, honest, and good in his due to communication with me. When these points were settled, and so far carried out as that I had begun to work in earnest, it occurred to me that if I could retain my bedroom in Barnard's Inn, my life would be agreeably varied, while my manners would be none the worse for Herbert's society. Wister. Pocket did not object to this arrangement, but urged that before any step could possibly be taken in it, it must be submitted to my guardian, Herbert some expense. So I went off to Little Britain and imparted my wish to Mr. Chiggers. If I could buy the furniture now hired for me, said I, and one or two other little things. Go it, said Mr. Chiggers, with a short laugh. I told you you'd get on. Well? I said I didn't know how much. Come, retorted Mr. Chiggers. How much? Well, £5, said Mr. Chiggers. This was such a great fall that I said in discomfiture. Well, more than that. There, retorted Mr. Chiggers, lying in a wait for me, with his hands in his pockets, his head on one side, and his eyes on the wall behind me. It is so difficult to fix a sum, said I, hesitating. Come, said Mr. Chiggers. Let's get at it. Twice 5. Will that do? 3 times 5. Will that do? 4 times 5. I said I thought that would do handsomely. 4 times 5 will do handsomely. Will it? Said Mr. Chiggers, knitting his brows. And said Mr. Chiggers, I suppose you make it £20, said I, smiling. Never mind what I make it, my friend, observed Mr. Chatters, with a knowing and contradictory toss of his head. £20. Womack, said Mr. Chatters, opening his office door. Take, Mr. Extra in order. This strongly marked way of doing business made a strongly marked impression on me, and that not of an agreeable kind. Mr. Jaggers never laughed, but he wore great bright creaking boots, and then, in placing himself on these boots, with his large head bent down and his eyebrows joined together, awaiting an answer, he sometimes caused the boots to creak, as if they laughed in a dry and suspicious way. As he happened to go out now, and as Womack was brisk and talkative, I said to Womack that I hardly knew what to make of Mr. Jaggers' manner. Till him at, and he'll take it as a compliment, answered Womack, surprised. It's not personal, it's professional. Womack was at his desk, lunching and crunching on a dry hard biscuit, pieces of which he threw from time to time into his slit of mouth, as if he were posting them. Oh, it seems to me, said Womack, as if he had set a man-trap and was watching it, without remarking that man-traps were not among the amenities of life. I said I suppose he was a scuffle. Deep, said Womack, as Australia, pointing with his pen at the office floor, to express that Australia was understood, for the purposes of the figure, to be symmetrically on the opposite spot of the globe. If there was anything deeper, added Womack, bringing his pen to paper, and I said I supposed he had a fine business, and Womack said, "Cop I tell." Then I asked if there were many clerks, to which he replied, "We don't run much into clerks, because there's only one Jaggers, and people will have him at second hand. There are only 4 of us. Would you like to see him? You are one of us." I accepted the offer. When Mr. Womack had put all the biscuit into the post, and had paid me my money from a cash box in a safe, coke collar like an iron pigtail, we went upstairs. The house was dark and shabby, and the greasy shoulders that had left their mark in Mr. Jaggers' room seemed to have been shuffling up and down the staircase for years. In the front first floor, a clerky looked something between a publican and a rat at a large pail. But the swollen man was attentively engaged with 3 or 4 people of shabby appearance, whom he treated as unceremoniously as everybody seemed to be treated who contributed to Mr. Jaggers' coffers. Hitting evidence together, said Mr. Womack, as we came out, for the bailey, in the room over that, as whom Mr. Womack presented to me as a smalter who kept his pot always boiling, and who would mount me anything I pleased, and he was in an excess of white perspiration, as if he had been trying his art on himself. In a back room, a high-shouldered man with a face tied up in dirty flannel, who was dressed in old black clothes that bore the appearance of having been waxed. 2 gentlemen, for Mr. Jaggers' own use. This was all the establishment. When we went downstairs again, Womack led me into the guardian's room and said, "Pray," said I, as the two odious casts with the twitchy leer upon them caught my sight again. "These," said Womack, getting up on a chair and blowing the dust off the horrible heads before bringing them down. "These are two celebrated ones, famous clients of ours that got us a world of credit. Thanks, then, to get this blot upon your eyebrow. You old rascal, murdered his master. And then, considering that he wasn't brought up to evidence, is it like him?" I asked, recoiling from the brute, as Womack spat on his eyebrow and gave it a rub with his sleeve. "Like him. It's himself. You know, the cast was made in Newgate, directly after he was taken down. You had a particular fancy for me, hadn't you?" "Old artful," said Womack. He then explained this affectionate apostrophe, throwing upon it, and saying, "Had it made for me." "Is the lady anybody?" said I. "No," returned Womack. "Only his game. You let your bit of game, didn't you? Well, she's a bit of a lady in the case. Wister. In. Except Dungeon, she wasn't of this thunder lady-like sort. And you wouldn't have caught her looking after this urn. Brooch." He put down the casts and polished the birch with his pocket handkerchief. "Did that other creature come to the same end?" I asked. "You're right," said Womack. "It's the genuine look. Much as if one nostril was cut up with a horsehair and a little fishhook. Yes. He came to the same end. Quite the natural end here, I assure you. He forged wills. This blade did. If he didn't also put the supposed testages to sleep too. You were a gentlemanly cove. Though Mr. Womack was again apostrophizing. And you said you could write Greek. Paul. Possible. What a liar you were. Shuff again. Womack touched the largest of his morning wings and said, "Sent out to buy it for me." While he was putting up the other cast and coming down from the chair, the thought crossed my mind that all his personal jury was derived from like sources, as he had shown no diffidence on the subject. I ventured on the liberty of asking him the question, when he stood before me, testing his sense. "Oh yes," he returned. "These are all gifts of that kind. One brings another. You see, that's the way of it. I always take him. They're curiosities. And they are property. They may not be worth much. But, after all, they are property and portable. It don't signify to you with your brilliant lookout. But as to myself, my guiding star always is. When I had rendered homage to this light, he went on to say, in a friendly manner, if at any odd time when you had nothing better to do, you wouldn't mind coming over to see me at Wareth, I could offer you a bed, and I should consider it an honour. I have not much to show you. Over. I said I should be delighted to accept his hospitality. Thank you, said he. Then we'll consider that it's to come off. When convenient to you. Have you dined with Mr. Well, said Wannick. He'll give you wine. And good wine. I'll give you punch. And not bad punch. And now I'll tell you something. When you go to dine with Mr. Chagres, well, said Womack, you'll see a wild beast tamed. Not so very uncommon. You'll tell me. I reply. That depends on the original wildness of the beast and the amount of taming. It won't lower your opinion of Mr. Chagres' powers. I told him I would do so, with all the interest and curiosity that his preparation awakened. As I was taking my departure, he asked me if I would like to devote 5 minutes to seeing Mr. Paul. Several reasons, and not least because I didn't clearly know what Mr. Chagres would be found to. But yet I replied in the affirmative. We dived into the city and came up in a crowded police court, where a blood relation in the murderous sense of the deceased, with the fanciful taste in breeches, was standing at the bar, uncomfortably chewing something. And the bench, and everybody present, with all, if anybody, of whatsoever degree, said a word that he didn't approve of, he instantly required to have it taken down, if anybody wouldn't make an admission. He said, I'll have it out of you if anybody made an admission. He said, Now I have got you. The magistrate shuddered under a single bite of his finger. Thieves and thief-takers hung in dread rapture on his words, and shrank when a hair of his eyebrows turned in their direction. Which side he was on I couldn't make out, for he seemed to me to be grinding the whole place in a mull. I only know that when I stole out on tiptoe, he was not on the side of the bench. For he was making the legs of the old gentleman who presided, quite convulsive under the table. That sure that day. To be continued.